So I'll call the meeting the order of the Forecasting Finance Committee at 7:06. And I don't think we have any public participation.
No.
So
Zach, as a member of the public, do you have anything to say, Zach?
No, just
Okay.
just going to listen in.
just listen.
Okay. All right. Steve, I think the floor is yours. We want to start the next
Thank
agenda
you.
item.
Sure, I will. So fiscal 2021 results. As you know, I'm sure that you received the final report on the expenditures. And I got to say that our department heads did a really, really good job again. And the departments returned about 1.6 million to the town at the end of the year, which was an amount we had not forecasted for, which is great. So that helps with our numbers at the end of the year, certainly. And pretty much across the board, a lot of it had to do with, there were certain things that didn't happen because of COVID. So certain expenditures that weren't made. I don't think anybody lost any services, but just certain things, weren't spent. On the personnel side, particularly in the police department, a lot of that, some of that personnel money that was returned was maybe officers that hadn't been hired, that were budgeted, had to go through the academy and all that stuff, and there was a slowdown there. And or when we did have some people that were out sick with COVID, we did cover those police overtime costs due to COVID from federal funds. So that was helpful.
Steve, so we're looking at the spreadsheet. I'm looking at the summary sheet for what was returned. Is that the right spot to be in?
You could do that when it's a long report. It's about 15 pages.
Right.
You could go to the summary sheet. That would be great. That might be
the summary tab. So persons protection and property, 253,000 returned. Is that what you?
Yeah, exactly.
Just referring to?
Exactly.
Thank you. Yeah.
And most of that would have been on the police department. Human services, going right down that list, 147. I'd say a lot of that was the Veterans Department, because we have not seen the number of recipients as we have in the past, mainly because sadly, a lot of the recipients that were receiving have passed away, so they're no longer receiving any assistance, obviously. But some of the new veterans are coming back. It's a different type of assistance. It's job placement, it's training and things like that. It's not necessarily, a straight monetary issue. So we've been looking at that for the last few years. You may remember during the budget cycle that they did look to, Karen Burke, our veterans agent, wanted to, try some more outreach and what have you. So we kept that there last year when we did the budget for this year. So we'll keep monitoring that.
So Steve, you said 1.6
total.
That's the encumbered amount.
I'm sorry, 1.4.
1.4. Right.
Yeah. I went all the way to the right on that. Library returned some as well because of hours that weren't expended. Vocational school encumbered a little bit. Education, we did pretty good on that, and that was mainly the library. And unclassified, again, reserve fund, you guys did a great job, returned 170,000 out of the reserve fund here. And again, health insurance had a nice, group insurance had a nice hefty return of 400,000. I say every year, we're not gonna have that, and every year, we come up with that as well. So I was very happy with the way that the department has really worked hard on all their budgets. I don't know if Kevin has anything to add on that.
No, that pretty much covers it. The group insurance, I think it was higher. I think it's over 500,000 we returned last year. So it has come back down this year. I know going into the fiscal 22 budget, we did cut it again. I think $100,000. So I don't anticipate that number unless there's a big shift in the plans that the people take.
I've been seeing a little bit of increases on GIC, so we may end up getting, we got 400,000 this year, or 21, so I would guess maybe 22,000 for 22, 200,000 would be where we end up based on our budget and what's going on. So we'll still get some back for 22, but yeah, it won't be 400.
We're certainly.
And so when you say that, oh, go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, a couple of things happen is that we set that budget before people change their plans. So our HR department has been really good about moving people to plans that have a lower premium, and the town shares in that. So that's been a great thing. The other thing is that as our working workers get a little bit older, we are seeing some people that were on family plans, and let's say both both spouses work for the town in separate capacities, but they were on a family plan because they had kids, that were on the plan. As their kids get older and get off the plan because they hit 26, they can't be on the plan. We see individuals, a family of two now taking 2 individual plans, which are cheaper. So that is another phenomenon I'm kind of watching a little bit.
And they have an option for, one plus spouse. That's an option in the packages as well, or not?
That's a family plan. That's a family.
Yeah, because I offer the program that I'm involved with my company. You do have that 1 plus, because you can do like a single parent plus a kid, or the single parent and a spouse. So anyway, it's certainly a different number. Got it.
Yeah. So that's been helping, but we keep a real good, and the GIC, as we know, has been a great partnership for us over the, when we went in there, 8-10 years ago. So that's been great. So I think on the, on the budget, on the expenditure side, we did a good job, and believe me, we threw anything that we could into the CARES Act, which certainly helped.
Would you
The other thing that helped is snow and ice. I mean, we got
Snow and ice,
$45,000 back from snow and ice, which means this year for 22, we don't have to worry about, the excess.
Right. I know.
And as far as the COVID goes, would you describe some of this money as one-off and not, what I mean to say out of that is.
Yeah, I think there could be some of this that's one-off, and I think there was less, let's say overtime paid to custodians for in-person meetings, okay, that stayed late at night. That obviously did not happen. Everything's on Zoom.
Yeah.
So, there were some of that. We were able to put some of the public safety into the CARES Act, overtime there. Probably not as much as we would have liked, not as much as Kevin would have liked, but we certainly tried. So I would say that, that helped. We used it very prudently.
Understood.
So, because we had to, we use it or lose it, right? So we did use it. And we also, I'll give a report on that at the tri-board, because we did some good capital stuff too. We did some good HVAC work. Like the Dalvere School, we needed another chiller unit. Anyway, that was a capital expense down the road. So put that into the CARES because kids going back to school, we needed that, fresh air component. So that certainly helped as well. But all in all, on the expense side, I was pretty pleased. And we know that because we monitor it through the year. So that worked out well. On the revenue side.
So Steve, on that CARES Act funding, did we account for that sort of department by department, or is there one?
I can give you almost a line by line on that.
Okay.
I mean, and I will give you a report at the tri-board, really chunking that out into, big areas.
Yeah. Good, thanks.
Yeah. On the revenue side, we did better than I thought. Any more questions on the expenditures? It was pretty self-explanatory. Okay, Mr. Chairman, want me to continue on?
Yeah, certainly. Well, you're still going through 21 results, right?
Yeah.
So revenue next.
Yeah, revenue next. Revenue, we've been talking about this for years, bounce back. better than we had anticipated, and we did take a conservative view on that because, you know, we did not know in, I guess, May of 2020 what this revenue was going to look like.
Steve, should I go ahead and, since we got one member of the public, I can go ahead and share that report from
Sure.
POR on revenue.
Yep.
I'll bring it up.
What happened to Doug? I saw him.
And it did. He said, I think he said something was the restaurant Wi-Fi issue.
Okay, one participant can share. I want to do share screen, and here we go. Okay. Can everybody see that?
Yep.
First line item here is the motor vehicle excise.
Right. So the column on the left is budgeted. Column on the right is actuals. So you can see we still had some hefty excise tax. Some of that is timing when the different commitments comes in. So, you know, that 444,000 could have just as well come in July of this year, maybe. And that would have skewed those numbers a little bit, but that's a nice hit there. Local option meals tax, which was a real, I'm not gonna say a surprise, but I'm really happy with that because I think the Wakefield did a great job going takeout, and I think the outdoor dining has really helped in town. So that exceeded our expectations.
Kevin, what's a normal year for meals tax? Is it like 400,000?
I've seen it 600,000. I'm trying to think, was it the year before COVID? We got $1 million between the two, the meals tax and the hotel. I think one was like 600,000, one was 400,000. I'm not sure which one was which.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
okay.
thought, and didn't we cut it in half for the 21 budget?
That's correct.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we probably can get around 4. So we almost came back to pre-pandemic levels there, which is great.
Yeah, so we looking at this, we end up with looks like 560.
Yeah.
So, you know, we did better than half, but only by 60,000.
Hotel motel did better than I thought, and almost hit budget. But I will tell you, I think most of that was the state did use the Sheridan as kind of a COVID recovery place. So we did get, that helped us a little bit. And I think we did some quarantining of public safety officers there at a lower rate, but the taxes were still paid. So we got a little bit of it back. So that helped a little bit. Anecdotally, I see that parking area much more filled this year. So hopefully that's bouncing back a little bit. And for the first quarter of this fiscal year, hotel taxes are, let's see. I have it open. Here it is. Yeah. Hotel taxes for this first quarter are around 98,000, which is still lower, but bouncing back to a better level than it was years ago. So we seem to be coming back a little bit more there too.
Is that 98,000 through what, September 30th? So the first 3 months?
First 3 months, yeah.
So you're looking at 400,000 annual. Yeah, that's much better.
Yeah. But that's not 600,000 that we could hope in a good year. But who knows? So that is much better. Let's see.
Penalty and interest.
I don't. It looks like we must have picked up something late. Did you know what that was, Kev? The 345
Where was this, under what state?
on penalties and interest. Looks like an old tax lien or something to me.
Penalties and interest.
Yeah, penalty and interest taxes.
Oh, yeah, that's just what, that's normal that, you know, I know last year there was the town council voted that moratorium on
Okay.
paying interest at the end of the year. Some people took advantage of that and took it a little bit longer than they should have. So that's why I think that bumped up last year.
MLD hit their number.
Yep.
Now you got other income. 400, we beat it by 95,000. The Board of Appeals kind of jumps out, as well as Medicaid and reimbursement.
Again, Board of Appeals, more filings, and some of the bigger filings have some bigger fees. So that one there. Police detail is a little bit more too, probably because of all the road work being done in town and that being paid by them. But other than that, that's, was nice. I don't know, but on the Medicaid, Kevin, what was that?
We get that in. There's an article that we fund every couple of years for like 10 or 15,000.
Right.
The school department does it through UMass, that they go out and they do all the paperwork to get Medicaid reimbursement for the town. So it's been a hefty amount. It's been over 100,000 the past couple of years.
Great.
Yeah. Fire alarm, rental fees are up. What,
Yeah.
so what do we have for rental fees? Which buildings?
Yule
Really
School?
not that much at all anymore. the Yule School, basically.
Yeah.
That's the Yule? Okay.
We've kind of taken over most of 5 Common. Herd School is not being rented now either. So rental fees are not going to be huge for us other than the Yule School, I think, going forward.
So how about AmeriCall? I thought we,
Yeah, some of that's there, but that during COVID wasn't a huge amount. But we are doing pretty well there with the some of the programs that are in there. So not bad.
All right. Cemetery. Oh, recreational. So we don't have a budget for recreation?
The prior year, Dan, we weren't sure what was going to happen with recreation with regards to COVID and what type of programs they could put on. So not in fiscal 21, but in fiscal 20, there was very little, if anything, that was collected. So we were concerned that going into 21, if the same thing happened, we budgeted it at 0, and anything that came in would be to the plus. And they actually did put on some programs last year in fiscal 21, and we were able to cover that dollar amount, which was Dan McGrath's salary.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Miscellaneous. Oh, yeah. Then all our permits. I mean, building permit, 556.
Yeah. I mean, people did a lot of stuff on their homes, and there's, that's really not, that's a lot of little ones, not some real huge ones that are going to be, we'll get some more of those coming up this year as well. So that's a very busy department.
Oh, and then you got to add to it the building permits online. So it's actually 92,000 plus 556.
Yeah. And some of those may be, a mixture of plumbing and in those online ones. I will tell you, year to date, on building permits, just for this quarter, we are looking at, for the first quarter, 173,000. So that's boding quite well.
Oh, and by the way, Steve, just to follow up on my
You know what? I
question.
did the same thing, and Gail told me.
Oh, yeah, he did not pull a permit.
He did not pull a permit. So Dan is not only the financier, but he's also a collector for us.
Oh, man. And the next morning, our building inspector put a couple of notices up on the door and the window saying stop. And my neighbor's house is basically gutted down to studs, and I went looking for a building permit, and there was none.
So, and Steve, if I remember right, is this the first year we split the building inspector?
That we pulled our building inspector away from Linfield. Second year.
Second year. Yeah,
Okay.
second year.
And thank God we did, because they're too busy to do.
Right.
It certainly is a money-making department, let's put it that way.
Yeah, they're doing well. All right.
Doug just texted me, and there's just no way he can get on with the Wi-Fi where he is, just FYI.
Okay. That's what I
Oh,
think.
can you just call in?
I think if he wanted to, he would have. So
All right,
He can watch the tape.
yeah. Fines are down.
Yeah. And frankly, we didn't do a lot of fining,
Yeah.
to tell you the truth.
Right.
during it, so.
And investment income is down because interest rates are low.
Yeah.
And of course, you always get some miscellaneous.
Right. So all in
So,
all, pretty good.
yeah, so what, as I say, is that it shows 10 million, but you have to back out the payment in lieu of taxes from MLD.
Right.
And so it comes in at 7.8 million, I think is my number. 7777, call it 7.8 million. And in my forecast, I had it at an even 7. So we actually got an extra 800,000 above our forecast that we had last spring.
I'm sorry, Dan, for the rookie here, what is MLD?
Oh, the light department.
Okay, municipal
Light,
light department.
Yeah, the light department pays us in lieu of taxes on all the equipment and the lines and all that good stuff.
No,
Okay.
no, Dan. Dan, actually, the money for the MLD, that 2,225,000, that's actually their payment for benefits.
Oh, that's
So
right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
their group insurance, their retirement, their workers' comp. The way the DOR wants us to handle that is bring it in as in lieu of tax payment, and then
Right.
appropriate that money as part of the expense for those departments.
Oh,
Right.
I was looking at the line right above
Yes.
MLD. What is it? MLD benefits?
Yeah, I was stuttering that day.
But Dan, in both your forecast and mine, we both hold the light department payment in lieu of taxes as a separate line item.
Yeah, we do.
You
You're
don't
right.
include the local receipts, so.
Yeah, so this 2,553 is something else, I guess.
That's an actual in lieu of tax payment.
Oh, okay.
Not from the light department or from the light department?
Not from the light department, no.
Okay. Any
Dan,
more?
what did you just say, Dan, about your forecast versus this actual? So we got 1.5 more receipts than anticipated on this sheet, correct?
No, we got for me, it's 800,000 more than expected.
Remember,
This sheet,
that sheet, yes. You want to.
this sheet built, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Jim. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, in this document from budgeted versus actual. And again, some items aren't budgeted, I guess, so. Budget versus actual is a difference of 1.5.
Right. But if you take this 10 million and subtract
Right.
the 2.2, whatever it is from MLD, you get to 7.8, which is where I'm at
Got it.
on my forecast now.
Right. Yep. And as you guys, you old hands recall, Kevin and I hold that local receipts number a little bit lower than Dan does. I think the term Chicken Little has been thrown around at us a few times. And we do that
Yeah.
for a couple of reasons. A is that I'd much rather be telling you we got way more than we thought. And B, it does help us getting through the Department of Revenue and getting our tax rate certified. And it just rolls back at the end of the year anyway, so it's really 6 of 1. We say we use more free cash, and then we get it replenished, so.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. So
that's-
if
we've been playing our game for years.
yeah, if you subtract the MLD from the 8.5 million, you get 6.3, which is what Kevin and Steve had for their budget for revenue, and I had 7 million.
Okay,
Got it.
All right, are we done with 21?
I think so.
21,
We kinda-
22?
Yeah, we kind of hit 22 year to date while we did the revenues, so I think you can run on to item 5.
That was fiscal year 22 close, right? That we just went through?
No, 21.
21.
Jim, if I can just jump in, just to recap everything we just talked about. We started fiscal 21. Our free cash was $6,550,000. We used $2 million to balance the budget back last November. Then at the annual town meeting a few months ago, we did some supplemental appropriations for $309,000. We funded fire indemnification for $100,000. Left our free cash balance at $4,141,000. We got our free cash recertified as of July 1. We had the budget revisions of $1.5 million. Our estimated receipts were $1.5 million over what was budgeted. And then we had additional tax revenue, about $700,000. So we increased the balance of the free cash from 4.1, and the new free cash that was certified last week is now $7,853,000. So that's where we are starting this fiscal year.
Yeah, I wanted to change this to,
And that's the start of this fiscal year, FY 22, right?
That's
Right.
correct.
7,853,000.
7,853,743.
743. So I've been messing around with that equals 7,853,743 minus 7,853.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Much better than we thought.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, when if you guys remember this forecast last spring, it was closer to about $1 million here in, I think 24, 25 is, I think this is close to $1 million.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, we're in much better shape.
So in the microeconomic world, I see inflation. In the macroeconomic world, I see inflation. Like there's
Yeah.
more cash around.
Yeah,
Anyway,
Yeah, I mean, basically because of the good news on the revenue side, we are in better shape than we would have expected certainly last, April.
yeah, no, the return, like you say, the return in the revenue in, the cash return, the revenue in, and it was a good analogy that Steve said in the beginning. I mean, we use free cash and then we typically get something back at the end of the year from the overall department. So Steve's been at it a while. It's a great observation.
we get that back, and then we also normally exceed our expectations with the DOR on local revenues. So it works out well.
So Steve, what we might want to talk a little bit about on the income side, because of the change
Right.
in the 22 versus 23 on the power line.
Right. So we've been, new growth is something that we've really done well with. And for those of us that are new to our little group here, is that we all know that we're in Prop 2.5. So you take your existing tax levy, you multiply that by 1.025%, and that's your new tax levy for the next fiscal year. On top of that is items called new growth. And new growth is anything from you know, houses get assessed more because you put new addition on to a new office building, to a new subdivision, to new condos or what have you. One thing we've been counting on coming forward is this 345 kV underground power line from National Grid. And it's been delayed for varied reasons, COVID being a big part of it. And so we keep pushing that down the road. When are we going to get that big bump? And we had hoped that we were going to get it in fiscal year 22. What we're running into with them is them being National Grid, although we haven't given up the entire ghost yet, is that they did a lot of work on the power station and they did a lot of work on power lines, neither of which National Grid claims that are taxable as new growth for us until they are active. And that line is not active yet. So where we thought that we were going to have that larger new growth this fiscal year 22, that's probably going to be kicked off into fiscal year 23. So I think our new growth number, without any National Grid, which is the good news that it's not including any of them, is what did we have, Kevin? Right around $1 million, $1.1 million?
It was 1,142,000.
Yeah, I threw in $1.2 million in here.
$1.3 million.
No, I got $1.2 million.
Oh, okay.
I put $1.2 million for 23.
Okay. Yeah, no, we're talking 22 though.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, for 22, I'm $1.3 million total.
That should be $1.2 million, correct?
it should be 1,142.
1142.
We know this number now?
Well,
That's
that's the working number right now.
1,142.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you.
So, I mean, the bad news is it's 1142, which really isn't bad
I'll be
news
right there.
when you talk to some of our neighbors. The good news is that number does not include a bump from the power station. So,
Yeah, I moved the power station to 23
right.
at 1.2 million.
So,
Well, let's see, what is that in terms of what it does to our numbers though? Our free cash, I mean, it's still 7,665,653. So we're much better, still much better than we were 6 months ago.
right. And I think that when you go forward with those free cash numbers again, and for forecasting purposes, when we go out, to 24, 25, 26, again, that assumes nothing returned and nothing extra in revenues. So, which is another part of that. Okay. What else do we want to go to on that, Dan?
Let's see. What did we want to do else?
Yeah, why don't we go back to, if you could go up a little bit, we can talk about, when we put our payment, we talk about what the forecast number is for receipts and what we're using for receipts. I think Kevin and I are going to put in, again, moving up because we moved down during COVID. I think for fiscal year 22, we had 6,875.
Yeah, so well, all I did was take the 7,777 that we got for 21 and bump it 3%.
Right. So when we go to town meeting, our free cash request is going to be more than Dan has because Kevin and I are not going to hold that 8 million number with the DOR because they'll say, what the hell? You came in last year at 6.2 million. Now you jump into 8. It'll cause a lot of consternation. So that's a game we play. Right, Kevin?
That's correct. So we bumped it from fiscal 21. I think it was 6,250,000. We bumped it up 10%
Yeah.
to 6,875.
For our and DOR purposes.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
But I mean, the reality as we come out of the pandemic, you got to believe that we're going to beat 21 in
Right.
22.
I think so.
Yeah. We won't tell that to the DOR.
No. Bond counsel loves it though. Bond raiders love it.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure they do.
So I think we're going to show that. I think town meeting coming up should be fairly benign. We'll have certainly a meeting ahead of that, but I think forecasting wise, I feel a lot better October of 2021 than I did October of 2020. I think we all
Oh,
do.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Does anybody want to see anything else on the forecast?
So
Hearing
Dan,
none.
down the bottom, that deficit of 1,742,000,
Yes.
when we use our lower local receipt number, that's going to be $3 million.
Yep, they will be.
And that's what we'll do at town meeting, $3 million from free cash to balance the budget.
Right.
Then we'll roll it back in next year.
Right. Yeah.
Right. One thing I think we should talk about in the forecast going forward is that there will be a vocational school project. In fact, at town meeting, I believe at town meeting, unless they have to go an actual election route, which they may, there will be a article for the vocational school project. So we may, when we know what that number is, and there's a little bit of flux there, we're gonna have to work that in forecasting method. I know that Dan went up 6%, and we might want to.
And then I'd also push it up a little higher for these
Yeah.
3 years when the bonds get more, higher.
And we may want to move those numbers up a little bit too, just to be on the safe side. But there is a good chance that there'll be another $100 million towards the project coming from the state via federal ARPA funds because of the importance of vocational education, number one, and because of the mix of different ethnicities at the school, because there are, Malden, Everett, Revere, Chelsea are all part of that school district. So those communities would be who were hurt more by COVID than, Wakefield was. They're going to have a heavy burden on the bonds coming forward because unlike the Voc school formula for students, which we all lament, it's a lot per student per year that comes out of Wakefield. And, other communities don't pay as much per student. The actual bond payments are strictly per capita. So every student is assigned the same bond responsibility for that construction. So actually, that helps Wakefield. We're about 8% of the school. So 8% of the bond would be coming from us. So we'll be playing with that number.
Is that something that fluctuates on the bond side based on head count,
Yeah,
like yearly or
there'll be a
something?
change. There'll be a change every year, yeah. Like you might have 100 kids one year and 102 the next year, 94 the next year. So, our vocational school students have jumped in the last 5 years from about 60 or 70 to about 100. A lot of people are going there for the education, and they've turned into a great partner over the last few years. So it's a very impressive project they're putting forward. So that'll be part of our bond schedule, and we'll kind of maybe we'll embed it in here in our forecast so we know where it is.
Yeah.
And
So
do we have the high school embedded in here too? Or is that...
You know what? I don't as of yet. But I frankly think the high school would have to be handled via a debt exclusion,
Okay.
because I think that nut is going to be,
it's too big.
it's going to be maybe 6 million a year, I would think, just for the high school. And like the Galvin, it's probably too big. Now, could we going forward, if we do see these surpluses, look at a hybrid situation? That's a possibility, but I think that it's that's going to have to stand on its own, or you end up if you try to stuff a lot of it into our within 2.5 budget, you end up hurting every other capital expenditure because you can't do it.
Right.
Or you cut programs.
So Steve, just for kicks and giggles, over here, you can see the surplus deficit in terms of where we're at.
Yeah.
If I change, let's say for 23 to 6% for the VOC, it really doesn't change much.
Yeah, I think we're
Really
not, and I think we're in pretty good shape overall.
Yeah.
And we'll ease that in so it's not gonna, kill us. And if that 100 million comes in, it's gonna be really nice. I mean, it'll be.
Okay, good. Let's see where we're at here. Bond schedule.
Yeah, I think we kind of have covered that a little bit. I don't know who put that on the agenda, being me. I think we're on track right now. I think we'll have something coming up for the VOC, as we mentioned, and I kind of think of that in our bond schedule in my head. And there will be an article at the town meeting in November for additional funding for the public safety building. And I think that could add, when it's in there, anywhere between $70,000 and $100,000 a year on our bond schedule for that.
For the public safety.
For public safety.
You gotta talk 20 years,
I think we'd go 25 on that.
25.
We'll go 30 on the school,
Okay,
just like a mortgage.
all right. So we did cover the vote.
Yeah,
Well-
our bond rating, if you hadn't heard, again, great job by the finance committee, town council, Kevin, John McCarthy. AAA bond rating is, we maintain that. Kevin, John and I had a surveillance call, I think at the end of August, I think, Kevin,
Yes.
with S&P. And again, all the things that we've done, a capital program, OPEB in the budget, fully funding or basically fully funding the OPEB pension looks good. Conservative budgeting we've done together, overall good reserves. It was a very good call, and they still seem to be very, very pleased with what we're doing here. And not to mention the new growth and things going around. So I was very happy.
And Steve, the $10 million that we used for roads, where does that show?
That is in it's a article, a budget article. And we're doing that, drawing that down in $2.5 million a year.
Okay.
So it kind of comes down like that. I think you're going to see over the next few years, a lot more roads being done because you're seeing a lot of the dig up work now, right? The utilities are going in and it looks like hell. Let me tell you, driving over them in my broken leg was just torture. So I'm completely about getting the roads done because I had to go from Wakefield to Stoneham, and that was awful all the way. But so I think over the next few years, you're going to see a huge change, and we'll be spending more money hiring traffic patrol because people will be going too fast. So stay tuned. But that's in there, Don. That's in our schedule.
Okay.
Yeah, that runs through our what is it? The capital reserve.
No, yeah, well, yes, through the
Debt service, yes.
debt service, yes. Yeah.
Yep. That's the word I was looking for, debt service. Okay, let's see. What else we got? Fiscal 23 budget schedule.
Right, so we will start as we normally, we have the tri-board meeting the 21st. I think we're kind of already thinking about the budgets, Kevin and I. Probably we would have another meeting. I would request another meeting of the forecast subcommittee to kind of look at where we are in a macro sense. I'd like to do that after town meeting before the new year. And then I think we'll hit the ground running, start our subcommittee meetings and then hit the ground running in January. Unless Chairman Sullivan has any changes to that, I think it's worked pretty well in the past.
Nope, no argument at this point, Steve. I would agree.
I like the way you couched that at this point, you said.
What was that?
You said no argument at this point.
Well, I always like to leave, you know,
know.
an in case. Nope, things run well that way. I would agree. Yep. And there's
Okay.
a lot of ground to cover.
Tri-board, 21st.
Yes.
Yep, I have not sent an email to the rest of the team yet on that. They may have seen it on town websites or whatever, but I'll get that out probably the first of next week or over the weekend.
Right.
So folks are aware.
I'll be working on you know, a kind of the same kind of presentation we did last year. I'll ask Dan to kind of the first few slides in there that talk about our forecast and what have you. That's changed a little bit. I think one thing that will be a little bit different this year is we're not. I'm not as concerned with the revenue and the COVID issues as we were before. So we can certainly spend a little bit less time worrying about that. I don't think we don't have to talk about budget adjustments that we made in the downward level because of COVID fears, although I think we could pivot if that happened. I'm still not thrilled with state aid, and you know, we did not get the bump that I had hoped we were going to get. But okay, that's the way it is. And I think we also need to be aware of the fact that the cherry sheet that we have is still preliminary. That hasn't been finalized. I don't know if there could be if there could be more money on that. I've spoken to our delegation and they seem to be holding all that pretty close to the vest. Probably because we're sitting on $8 million of ARPA funds, is my guess.
Right.
So I'll plan, since I really can't go anywhere and do anything, I'm going to work on that this weekend.
And Steve, relative to the OPER or the COVID money, right? What is it, OPER? I'm sorry.
ARPA, and this round is ARPA.
Yeah. So will every town run the risk of returning money that can't be used under the guidelines, correct?
Yes, you run the risk of either of not spending it, I should say of not appropriating it and designating it within 3 years by December 31st, 2024. So you've got a lot of time. Or you run the risk of, hey, you spent it on, let's say, although they say you specifically can't do this, you specifically cannot use ARPA funds to pay your pension obligation. Okay. And you do. I think you might run the risk of having that clawed back at some point. Each town will undergo a federal audit at some point on the use of ARPA funds. A little bit different than the first round, which was under the CARES. That all rolled through the state, and we had to get the expenditures approved before they sent us the money. In this case, they've sent us half the money, and some of it, a small amount, we had anticipated using for some items in the schools, some items in public safety, some COVID-related items, small amount, and I'm going to say a few $100,000, right, Kevin? Not that much, 400,000, 500,000.
About $500,000, yeah.
$500,000 out of 8. So I think these others, I think we should really look to, and I talked to the town council, and I think we'll have a session at the finance committee and then some public input. We should look at, projects that we'd like to do that are physical, that we would be doing these things anyway. Let's not let this chance go away to use this money. I had hoped to use it to replace revenue loss. But as we can tell, we didn't have revenue loss, so I can't really do it.
Yeah, that's not going to work.
Yeah. I
Good
think
news, bad news.
I think the other thing we need to look at is that, and when we do meet with every department, particularly I think the schools encumbered a lot of money and have a lot of money in circuit breaker, which is great, and have a lot of money that, when you looked at that report, that they encumbered. So I think we have to look at that to make sure that's used prudently and used in, this year's budget, or next fiscal year's budget, or this, so we don't kind of continue to stash too much over there. So we should make sure we look at those things too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the other thing we can look at is pull out the DPW's capital projects
Yeah.
list. Because, I mean, obviously they come to us every year with, 10 or $15 million requests and we spend 2. So there's got to be some stuff in there that we can use for the ARPA money.
So those are
And
things.
on the schools, there's a strong chance that Doug Butler is going to be on that subcommittee. So that may help bring some info and entertainment to the board. One Doug happy, one Doug not so happy, but we'll see how that plays out. But I have had a request. So if
Yeah.
Doug puts the time in, Doug Butler puts the time in, I think we'll see, some good info, which I don't doubt that he will, but he's stretched already. So anyway,
Well, he's too much on, he's on Nessun too much, right? I see him on Nessun and giving talks and stuff, Doug Butler, for his financial talks. It's great.
Oh, for Rockland Trust, yeah.
oh yeah, on NECN, I haven't caught it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll check it out.
So we'll be getting that out to you. I'll be doing my, I call my crappy forecast that nobody likes but me. And maybe Kevin likes it. I don't think he likes it either. But it kind of helps me keep everything into perspective. And I look at it one way, he looks at it one way, and then we go against Dan's forecast, and then we say, oh, because we all kind of come to the same place at the end of the day. So it's pretty good. Overall, I'm very pleased with where we ended up. It's
Right.
been a very different conversation.
Okay, let's see. I don't think we have any committee comments. Not sure who put that in there.
I do.
All right, so anything else before we adjourn?
It covered a lot of ground. Dawn, you have any comments? I know you've seen some of this stuff. And
Yeah. No, well, just on the COVID related stuff, Steve, are town employees, do we have good vaccination coverage of the town employees?
We have, I would say, very, very good vaccination coverage. Those that aren't vaccinated, there are certain requirements of them getting tested weekly. That's causing some consternation with some people. At this, but I'd say we're in the 80 to 90% range. There are some departments that maybe aren't, but overall, and school, I don't know. But on our side, I mean, I think I bet your police is 90%. I bet your fire is about 90. I think town hall, almost everybody, I think everybody in town hall, think of your administrative, are vaccinated, with the exception of some DPW custodial workers. I think the vast majority are pretty well done, but even with that, we've had
Some breakthrough cases.
we've had breakthrough cases. My whole engineering department was out for a week. Everyone was fine, but it was a breakthrough case, So we're kind of adopted, more of mask wearing and being much more careful again. So it's kind of too bad. And everyone's awaiting, a lot of people are awaiting the booster. So,
but the state employees are all being mandated to get vaccinated. That's not
in the executive branch, they are.
in the executive branch. So, yep.
We have not gone to a mandate yet, and I don't know if we will. It'll be interesting to see if OSHA, who President Biden has asked to come out with a, with a guideline or a designation or directive. If OSHA
Directive.
comes out with something, how is that going to affect our employees? Because although we are not subject to OSHA per se, we are,
Right.
by state law, need to keep our employees as safe as if we were under OSHA. So that is going to be an interesting dynamic, because, I think people like to be asked and don't like to be told, but at some point you've got to tell them.
Yeah, like, because you have to have a driver's license, for example.
Right. You have to wear a face shield when you're welding. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't use a ladder that's not stable. And I tell you, they asked me 10 times whether I got injured at work. I should have said yes.
Kevin would have had that as a write-off.
I know. I figured. Well, I was gonna call Kevin up to like drive me to town hall and dump me on the front steps. So,
Oh, beautiful. All right. Anything else?
Zach, any comment? Thanks for joining us.
No, this is great. I'm very
Yeah.
much looking forward to participating in future meetings.
yeah.
Great.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And Dawn, if you want to come in and sit down with Kevin and I, you're welcome anytime.
Sure, okay.
Yeah, or if you want to copy the spreadsheet, let me know.
Okay.
Yep.
Sure, if you can send that to me, that would be great.
Okay, I was messing around with it tonight, so I need to go back and make sure I have everything fixed, and then I'll send it to you.
Yeah, so, you know, I probably won't get to it right away, but so you don't have to do it, you know, when you get a chance is fine.
Yeah, okay.
Right.
All right, I think with that, a motion, oh, wait. Yeah, motion, I guess it's just Don and I can move to adjourn,
I move to adjourn.
and I will second. And all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, adjournment at 8:03, Mr. Secretary.